Okay, now let's tell you a few things that we know about the ongoing election. 988,923 eligible voters are registered to participate in this exercise across the 16 local government areas of the state. Of course, we'll only be able to confirm the percentage of the turnout after the election is concluded. There are 177 registration areas, out of which 22,444 polling units were created. 16 candidates were originally cleared for this contest. Okay, now, while we wait to connect with our team in Ekiti, I'll just, these are people who will help us break down and give us an on-the-scene account of what's actually going on. We'll also have a guest in studio. In fact, I can now connect with our Ayodele Ozugbakun, who is on the ground in Ekiti. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Yori.
Okay, great to have you. Just please give us a roundup of where we are now. We've heard recorded video earlier from Governor Fayemi and some other people. Give us a sort of progress report of where we are now.
Yes, Yori, I'm at St. Michael's Secondary School in Ekiti, and Ekiti is the Central Senatorial District, and the Central Senatorial District is out of 988,000 registered voters. We have 179,000, the largest senatorial district in terms of the voting strength. Now, this St. Michael's School, the secondary school, is very strategic because we just have 2 polling units there, and each of these polling units, they have at about 1,900, 1,750 registered voters. So the people got here as early as 8 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning, and the electoral officers, they were all on ground. So according to Yaga Africa, the number of people, the number of turnouts at the time the exercise started for 8:30 in the morning, that recorded 95%, which is a major improvement from the aggregate we've seen. But the turnout is quite impressive, and a lot of people, they are waiting to take their turn, and this is the situation we have. For you to aggregate the number of people we have here, I told you earlier that we have 1,970 registered voters here. So you can see the queue, people waiting patiently. From here, you check the names from here, and the queue goes down to the list of this place. And there's another polling unit at the tail end of this school also. So what we are seeing here is that people are so enthusiastic, they're coming out. So as you said earlier, at the end of the vote for 2:30, we know the number of turnouts. Yes, but I can tell you that for this particular polling unit at St. Michael's Secondary School, we have 1,970. Ezewago of Yaga Africa is also here with me. Ezewago have gone round at Ekiti, and maybe, have you been to Inyi too?
No, I went to Ikere.
Ikere Ekiti.
Yeah.
Now, from what you've seen so far, the timeliness, the electoral officers, the time that the sensitive and non-sensitive material arrived, how would you assess this?
Well, we were excited that as at 7:30 in the morning, 75% of polling officials were ready at their polling units, and that, like you said, at 8:30 we're scoring about 95% already.
That's a kind of improvement from what we've had.
Yes, and then in the particular places where I observed, the beavers have not misbehaved.
Like we've had.
Like in the Anambra and the FCT, we've seen more seamless, accreditation process, and that is heartwarming in the places where I have observed. But the big challenge that we're still seeing is that there is still transaction. There is still...
We come to that.
Yeah.
Now, talking in terms of timeliness, now the sensitive materials came through the Independent National Electoral Commission, and they didn't have to go through the CBN.
Yes.
Now, what has changed? What improvement or what setback?
No, what is important is that the materials are here, and the punctuality index has also risen. If you want to gauge that, when the materials were kept in central bank, you have to go there, take it, then take it to the local government area, then it's sorted out. But right now, what we saw was that the materials went straight to the INEC, and then through their own channels, these materials had gotten to the different local governments, and sorting took place majorly yesterday. And we did move around again to different local governments to see how that sorting of materials was going on. And it was also as seamless as we have seen.
So this model could be adopted?
Yes, so the positive outlook that we talked about day before yesterday is it. We're seeing that in most of the places. But like you know, Ayo, it's still too close to call. By 2:30, many of the people you may be seeing around may not be voters. Some of them may just be sympathizers.
Wow, they're on the queue.
No, it's possible. You know that there is a business going on here. So we have to wait. You talked about the fact that in this polling unit that we just talked about 1,000 voters are here as prospective voters are supposed to be in this polling unit, and that itself is a challenge, because we thought that with the with more polling units, creation of more polling units, there will have been a disaggregation. But INEC had said that even when there are such conditions that we have seen here, that they will put more than 1 or 2 beavers in place in this place. But
so it's not healthy for us to have 1,970.
No, that's the reason. No, that's the reason for creating more polling units. That's the reason for creating more polling units. So the creation of polling units, and then we still have 1,000 voters in one place, poses a challenge. If
to make it difficult for prospective voters to actually vote.
That's why we have this long queue. Oh. The reason for the long queue, and there are no 2 beavers, it's still 1 beaver here. Which means that
the process will be slow.
So the process is slow, even though the beavers are doing well, okay? But we expect that we do not want to see this kind of, and just across here, there's another polling unit with just about 19 accredited voters, just here now. So you have 1,000 plus here, 19 in the other way. That's a big issue. So and I think going forward, we must find a way to get INEC to sit down and deal with this issue, because at the 2 polling units that are here, you can see that it's if it's not for management, effective management of the crowd and the rest of them, maybe this would not have been healthy.
16 aspirants from 16 local governments and 22,206 polling units across this 16 local government of Ekiti State. Now, what we're looking at here is that we saw something very odd and very strange. While we just finished the first roundup, we sat somewhere. I was observing how the process, when they started at the initial stage. We have agents all around. We can't identify the party agents, but we know that there's a kind of buying and selling transaction going on at this particular polling unit. When I told you, you weren't surprised.
Why will I be surprised? The agents are all over the place, milling around. People vote. They meet the agent. The agent tells them where to go to. You have seen outside of these places, you see different vehicles parked where people search to go and get remunerated for voting. And you know,
earlier today I spotted ICPC officials.
What is annoying is that this, like I have always said, we saw them in Abuja. We saw the ICPC and EFCC in Abuja. They were participants. They were not. They didn't know arrest was made in Abuja, in spite of the fact that we heard about the huge, transactions that went on there. So it's really diminishing in terms of our expectations for this election, that people could still get to this point. And I think that stakeholders in the electoral process and in the country must begin to deal with this challenge.
It seems to be so organized.
The way it's coded.
After voting, there's a way you go to. There's where you go to, and you'll be remunerated.
Yes, and even the security agents, who are they are just seated. They are not. I don't know what kind of instruction they were given. And then when you raise these issues, they say, "Oh no, the security agents are not." But right here, we are seeing organized vote trading, and there is something that is not sitting well about that.
Ultimately, this trend will be counterproductive.
It is
because to our democracy,
Ayodele
working on people, so it might go to the highest bidder.
At the end of the day, we have said that it diminishes the quality of citizenship. And everywhere you go to, they say, oh, the voters are now more aware. The voters are now more. These voters are not aware of anything. They have decided that, many of them have decided that they are going to trade their votes. And there is something diminishing about that. If you check all around, go to the first gate, go to the second gate, you see very organized way in which this trading is going on, and there is something repulsive about it.
We have security all around the place right now.
It's increasingly repulsive. It's just repulsive.
They can't do anything about it.
It's repulsive.
Okay, I also have a voter. With me. He voted. What's your name?
Dairo Ololade. Dairo Ololade.
Dairo.
Yes.
Okay. How many minutes did it take you to go through this process?
So far, so good. It has been orderly, and the people are lining up very well, and likewise the ADOC and everybody, they are doing very well. So far, so good.
The beavers, when you went through it did not give any echo?
Not at all. I was captured immediately with my fingerprint. That's all.
Now, were you in any way remunerated by any political party?
No. And I'm not seeing that around there.
You are not aware that there's any transaction going on around here?
I've not.
If you want to score the process, how will you assess this process?
Probably 80 for now.
80%.
80% for now.
Thank you, Dari.
All right.
Dari, a voter there, Dari, saying that she will score the process 80%. And Ezewagu, you might just walk in here, you will not know what is happening, or you feign ignorance.
If you didn't see it yourself, even if I'm telling you now, you'll be like, how? But when you called my attention to it, I told you that I had already, in these 2 polling units, is a huge organized transaction.
And in spite of the orientation, in spite of the campaign, in spite of don't sell your boats, don't do this, don't do that, we still have people. Are they capitalizing on the poverty of people?
I don't think I have made this point. And I've been on radio in Ekiti, in several different channels, on radio, on television. People called in, and a lot of education has gone in. Voter education, both by INEC, National Orientation Agency, and the rest of them have all come out to challenge this whole voter inducement and the rest of them. What has happened is that you can use anything to explain a crime. On the Electoral Act condemns voter inducement, and there is a sanction for it. So it's actually a crime. So when we want to use poverty to explain a crime, it only provides an unhealthy justification for why we will continue not to have, governance expectations, outcomes match the way we have always wanted it to match. But I think that this is a very important, it becomes very important for us to begin to understudy the driver and the continuous driver for this kind of challenge that we are facing in our electoral process.
This election in Ekiti State is like an off-season election, and for the first time that the Electoral Act 2022 will be put to test. And talking in terms of several amendments to that Electoral Act before now. Now we are going to have officially, now backed by the law, the beavers backed by the law. We have, transmission of results from this place. It's no longer from EC8A alone that will be working here. What we are going to get here is that immediately they finish counting this vote today, it's going to be electronically transmitted to the INEC server, and they are still going to back it up from EC8A. Tell us more about the 2022 Electoral Act, this innovation.
Well, it's now mandatory that the presiding officers will transmit from the PU, from the polling unit, straight to the server, and then the paper trail, which is the bimodal process. So the two are
That's
going.
The meaning of the bimodal.
Bimodal is two. Anywhere you see bi,
yes,
what it talks about is two. So you now have a two system. The manual going together with the electronic to make sure. Yes, and all it does is to increase. But what is unique now is that it's now a law that you have to do that transmission by implication.
You can't take the from EC8 alone.
So now there has to be a trail electronic trail of what you have transmitted,
corroborate
what you have on the manual, and that's significant. All of this is INEC is ahead, taking steps to ensure electoral integrity. And with that, we will, if it works well in Ekiti, they have our support. We will continue to be excited about what technology can help us achieve as a country, So we are testing that out, and from what we have seen here in the few places that we have seen, the Beavers has been performing optimally.
They've corrected the mistakes of the past.
I am hoping so that is what it is in the 16 local governments. But like we said, until we get until we get all the reports from across the states, we cannot make a call on both the number of people who have come out to vote, to exercise their votes. We can't make a call on the general assessment of the Beavers. But in these 2 polling units, the Beaver has worked seamlessly and it's been peaceful. But for these underground movements, transactions.
Okay, Yori, that's the updates you can hear from now. That look, the Beavers and this particular polling unit, we can tell you 1,900. Although Ezenwagu is of the view that this is quite abnormal. And moving forward, this is the first time that the 2022 Electoral Act actually will be taking place, backed by the law with an election. So the off-season governorship election in Ekiti State is actually backed by the 2022 Electoral Act as amended, Yori.
Can you hear me, Ayo? Can you hear me? Ayo, can you hear me?
Yes, Yori, I can hear you.
Okay, I've been trying to interject for the past 5 minutes or so, but as a matter of fact, your guest sort of, he did touch on things that I was going to talk about that I wanted to ask you for clarification. Because he had said, quote, a business is going on here. I was going to ask for a bit more expatiation on that, but you went into it. You actually went into it, and it's been explained. Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, as we are hearing now, saying that the Beavers is working as well as possible, there were also stories that I want you to sort of confirm or deny about a curiosity. The Beavers apparently, when it was to authenticate everybody else, there was no problem. But with senior citizens, we understand there was the curiosity where a lot of some senior citizens were frustrated. Did you hear about that? Maybe was it in your area, or did you hear about it?
Yes, now it's a queue. There's a queue here, and according to Ezewagu, we say it's not normal for us to have 1,900, and I don't think there's any priority given to senior citizens here. You can see this queue. You can see a lot of senior people around this queue, and what you get is that as much you have to wait, no matter the age, and which is not proper. It's quite frustrating for a senior person to get here, and we have to go through this long, grueling process. Yori, one other thing I want to talk about is security. And security and the process, they are so interconnected. For this outcome, for this process to be free and fair, security is an integral part of it. I have, from the NSCDC, can we meet you, sir?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, I'm Mohammed Lawal Haruna, acting DCG in charge of operations.
That's Deputy
Commander General in charge of operations.
In charge of this operation?
Yes.
How many local governments have you been to today?
I think I've been to about, I've been to 9 local governments.
9 local governments?
Yes.
What have you seen so far?
So far, peaceful. The process has been very peaceful. I've been to, and it's been orderly, and the turnout is impressive.
How many of your men have you deployed to the 16
We deployed 9,747.
From NSCDC?
From NSCDC.
Complementing with other security agencies?
That is in synergy with other security agencies. We have the Nigerian police, who is the lead agency, and we're also a very critical stakeholder. And again, we don't just deploy to polling units, we also deploy to critical infrastructures across the state, because that is our core mandate. And during an election period like this, there's a tendency that the critical infrastructure could be violated. So we deploy to them.
The reports from your officers across the 16 local governments, have you had any incidents so far?
No, we don't have any serious incident. Most of the incident we normally have is this situation whereby you have more voters in a particular area and you have very few voters in some polling units. And from what we heard from INEC, is that some of these new polling units, some of the people don't even know. Some of them are not conversant with the new polling unit. And again, since they are new, it's always a bit difficult. You know, when something is new, people are used to the old ones they know. So there's always that concentration in those areas. These are some of the little hitches we have.
We've noticed a kind of transaction in some polling units,
No,
buying and selling. Are your men aiding and abetting this, or
Not
looking
at
the
all.
other way, or have they reported anything to you?
Not at all. We will not even condone that in civil defense. And to the best of my knowledge, nothing has been reported. If you notice, when I was just coming in, I see a lot of crowd at the other end of the road. I asked specifically, since there is no polling unit there,
What are they doing there?
I insisted, what are they doing there? I insisted I have to dispatch them. But we didn't get, there is no evidence to show that there is anything they are doing there negatively.
Ultimately, when you look at the whole system, the places you've gone out to, you've not seen any kind of complaint and everything. When will you now do your assessment that, this exercise, the before, during, and after?
Yeah, the assessment in most cases, when the votings are over, then we move to the collation centers. That
Very
is
critical.
Where, it's a very critical period. And there that is where we need to have mobilized for more security in all those centers that voting takes place. These are a very critical period, and towards the evening time. But then we are prepared for that. All the security agencies, in collaboration with other security, we are very prepared for this election. So I don't think we are going to have any negative development.
I want to thank you.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you. That's the Deputy Controller, Operations, Nigeria Civil Defense Corps, giving us updates. He said he has been to some local government, and so far he said it has been good, and has not gotten any reports about vote buying. He has not also getting any report in terms of the breakdown of law and order. I told you about this process earlier,
Okay.
and I said
you know what,
this
Ayo,
is
I
not
beg your
too
pardon.
normal.
Ayo, I got to come in. Interestingly, we've heard your guest was saying that there was, as he put it, a business going on here. But then the authorities, the security figures are saying no such thing was noted. So we'll stay on it. And, we have both sides of the story now from the point of view of the authorities, nothing like that. But from, observers saying that, look, this is what is going on.
Observers, yes.
So yes.
Yes.
So what we'll do is
I noticed too.
you also noticed, exactly. So, maybe
noticed.
they've perfected the art.